Will it be Bob, or the other Bob? Yes, it's that time of year. Let's talk about the Del Mar Debutante on NYRA Bets. Hi, everyone. Matthew DeSantis here with NYRA Bets, here with the preview of Saturday's Del Mar Debutante. Now, before we get into this very exciting 2-year-old race for fillies going 7 furlongs on the dirt, I want to remind you to press that like button and subscribe to NYRA Bets YouTube today. Subscribing is entirely free of cost, just notifies you when new videos drop on the channel, whether those are race previews, full card analyses, handicapping and betting tutorials, weekly programs, and so much more. Like I said, we got you covered beyond Saratoga. We got previews for the Franklin Simpson for Kentucky Downs. We got you covered for West Coast racing this weekend as well, with a pair of exciting 2-year-old stakes races. And listen, yes, Bob Baffert certainly has a lot of horses entered in these 2 races, but he also tends to have a lot of exciting horses, and they all tend to be really good 2-year-olds. And so seeing them run against each other can start to give us some sense of the pecking order leading into the juvenile fillies, as well as the juvenile for the Del Mar Futurity that we're going to be talking about in another video. So listen, a lot of great racing taking place out at Del Mar, but let's dive in to the Del Mar Debutante. Before we do, just want to remind you, if you're playing Del Mar and Kentucky Downs on Saturday and Sunday, you'd be a fool not to opt into the great promotion we have on NYRA Bets. If you bet $75 at each track, you get $15 back, win or lose. So make sure to check out that promo offer on NYRA Bets. All righty. Well, listen, let's dive into this 7-horse field in which there are 3 Bob Baffert horses. You also see Mark Clatton, Richard Mandella, Luis Mendez, and Mick Ruiz Sr. also have horses in this race. But really, the conversation starts with the top 2 horses on the inside for trainer Bob Baffert, and that is the number 1, Explora, and the number 3, Himika. Listen, these are 2 very exceptional 2-year-old fillies. But when we're starting to go to 7 furlongs, it gets a little bit trickier. Now, a couple of things to note here. One, we could start looking at pedigree. Explora is sired by Blame. Now, you don't see Blame on the top line very often for many exciting 2-year-old prospects. Blame is most notably an outstanding broodmare sire. Now, the kind of old adage in Kentucky is, listen, if you get yourself a Blame filly, you're in business. If you get yourself a Blame colt, well, good luck. But a Blame filly is always going to be valuable. Now, sometimes that value comes more as a broodmare, but nevertheless, Explora showed a ton of talent on debut, winning by 4 3/4 lengths, never being asked, with Juan Hernandez aboard, earning an 88 buyer speed figure on August 17th at Del Mar, going 5.5. Here's the thing, out of a Bernardini mare, so you know there's going to be plenty of influence. I mean, this is really, you talk about a broodmare prospect. I mean, this is Explora, when she's going to do her running as she continues in her career, after that career is over, she is an exceptional broodmare prospect because you have the 2 best broodmare sire influences, Blame and Bernardini, in the same horse. So she's got a lot of talent and a lot of exciting potential. Bob worked her going a minute and change on August 31st at Del Mar, 13th to 60, 8 to 5 in the morning line, great early speed, is breaking from that inside rail, which always gives me a little bit of pause with young horses. Now, right to her outside is her stablemate, Himika. All this one is done is won her 2 starts by a combined 10 1/4 lengths, broke her maiden easy at Santa Anita back in June, and beat a horse, Bottle of Rouge, who was another Baffert horse who came back to win next time out. Then goes and steps up into the Grade 3 Sorrento, wins that race easily by 4 1/4 lengths, and shows the ability to rate in both races. Doesn't maybe have the blazing early speed that her stablemate Explora does, but a very, very good horse, sired by Curlin. So you know this horse is going to like stretching out of an Into Mischief mare who was trained by Chad Brown. Actually, the breeder for this horse, Klarovich Stables, a name that a lot of us up in New York are very familiar with, but purchased for $900,000 in the OBS April 2025 sale. Now, what is interesting here is that Juan Hernandez has ridden both of these horses and rode them exclusively. He rode Himika in debut and then in that Sorrento victory. He rode Explora in debut as well. Juan Hernandez, where does he go? He goes to the inside horse Explora, Kazushi Kimura takes over for Himika. Maybe the jockey is telling you something in terms of which one they think is the better choice. Now, as far as Himika goes, hard to poke any holes in this one. She can rate, she can sit off the pace, she should love the added distance. There's a lot to like with Himika in this particular race. Now, Baffert's other horse, very nice one, Bottle of Rouge, Vino Rosso, out of a Bluegrass Cat mare, Mike Smith aboard. And this one did break the maiden next time out, going 6.5. So notably lost to Himika going 5 furlongs at Santa Anita, stretched out a little bit longer and won very easily as the even money favorite in a 7-horse field. Maybe going longer is good for this one, certainly sired by Vino Rosso, who is, of course, sired by Curlin. So you do have that distance influence there. This one might be better going a little bit longer and owned by Natalie Baffert. So that may be something to keep in mind there. Big money Mike Smith aboard. What's interesting is both Kimura and Hernandez have ridden this horse before, and now Mike Smith is up. So pretty clearly the third choice out of the three. But it's certainly that 78 buyer speed figure last time out could improve going an extra half furlong. The one horse that I'm really interested in, who's a non-Baffert horse in this point, you could look at a horse like Lawali, who's sired by Constitution out of a gemologist mare. Antonio Frezu up on the mount. This one won in debut as well. Only a 62 buyer. Would really need to get a little bit faster to get there. You'd figure Constitution and Tappet, there's going to be some influence to go a little bit longer. The number 7, Bourbon and Ginger. I like this horse. Spendthrift Farms owns this horse. You know who else Spendthrift Farms owns? Tommy Joe and Ted Noffey. Now, those are pretty good horses that we saw win a pair of grade ones last weekend at Saratoga in the Spinaway and in the Hopeful. So you never want to bet against Spendthrift Farms, that's for sure. And you got Richard Mandella training. Admittedly, very cold during this Del Mar meet. Only 1 for 31 winning. Bourbon and Ginger, though, won in debut, held off Grandma Mary by a half length. Draws the outside post, which I like. The horse can rate a little bit, and Mandella put this one through 4 workouts since that debut victory on August 2nd, and most notably a 47-3 bullet work on the 2nd of September. I like the progression we're seeing from this particular horse, Bourbon and Ginger, 8-1. I think could be a little bit interesting in this Del Mar debutante, and maybe, just maybe, could upset the apple cart. Now, where am I ultimately going to go with my selections? Well, I'm going to go with Himika. I'm going to go with a horse that is a little bit more proven. Sometimes I always worry about horses that really dazzle in debut, particularly fillies, a little bit of regression. We even saw that from Himika. 90 buyer speed figure in debut, 81 second start out. Now, very impressive in both efforts and easy wins, but Explora doesn't have that much margin for error, breaking from the inside rail, outstanding early speed, but still you never know. And also, if there is that little bit of a regression, Himika has shown the ability to run faster already than Explora did in debut. So I'm going to go with Himika, a little bit of an upset, not much. I'm going to go with Bourbon and Ginger. I have the horse second. You can put him third, or put her third if you'd like. I do see it as a 1-2 kind of a situation. Either you think Explorer is going to win or you think Himika is going to win. I do think Bourbon and Ginger is a valuable horse to maybe throw in exactas, trifectas. You know, maybe one of these two doesn't fire. Bourbon and Ginger maybe can pick up a piece, maybe get onto the board. So I think that there's a couple ways you could potentially play this race. But for me, it really does start and stop with the Baffert duo of Explorer and Himika. And like I said, Bourbon and Ginger are kind of the horse that I'm most interested in out of the non-Bafferts to maybe make a little bit of a splash and get on the board. I'll try to play that one over top of a horse like Bottle of Rouge, who's the third choice on the board. I'd rather go for a little bit of a bigger price. So listen, going to be exciting because these fillies are going to be among the top contenders for the Breeders Cup Juvenile Fillies at Del Mar. So seeing them get a race over the surface, obviously going to be hugely important as we get ready for Breeders Cup season. All right, folks. Well, that's my preview of Saturday's Del Mar Debutante. Remember to make sure to play it on NYRA Bets. Make sure to opt in to that great promotion at Kentucky Downs and Del Mar. Bet 75 at each. Get 15 back, win or lose. All right. My co-host, Kaylee Shapiro, she'll be back next week. Don't worry. We got a lot of great content ready for you for the fall. But until next time, my name is Matthew DeSantis, wishing you a great and profitable day at the races and reminding you, friends, it's now post time.